Hey guys, this is Caleb with White Metal Games here. I don't do a lot of vids anymore, and I want to get back into it, so I thought I would just start by showing a couple pieces. Recently I've been doing some painting. This is a Malekith on Black Dragon for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I'm going to try to go in a little bit closer. This particular figure is modeled on a Gargantuan Black Dragon from D&D Minis, which I added a saddle to from a Chaos Champion on Steed. And then the upper body is actually a Archon from the Dark Eldar range. The lightning he's holding is from is from a Star Wars kit, and then the Black Dragon, as you can see here, hasn't been really heavily converted. He has been repainted. This effect on the wings was achieved with an airbrush, and I kind of like the starry sort of look to it. It's kind of a sort of a happy accident in that we used the paint. Didn't come out quite smoothly, so it started to stipple a little bit, which actually I think kind of looks nice. And if you can see on the back here, the scales, I sort of gave it a highlight. So I've kept the palette very, very simple, a lot of purples and blacks and grays. With Malekith himself, I branched out a little bit, used some golds, some blues, but still kept in that very cool range of colors. And the base, as you can see, is very simple. I did do a little scenic on the base. I gave him a high elf. The guy requested some sort of dead enemy on the base, so I had a bunch of high elf bits laying around and a little blood effect there. Not a whole lot, nothing too crazy. So that's it on this piece, and I'm going to show you the Hive Tyrant next. So this is a Hive Tyrant I did for another client. This client has a Hive Fleet, I think it's Leviathan paint scheme. So it's a lot of purples and reds and blacks. He wanted, I think, a Hive Tyrant that was kind of up on a perch, or at least suspended above the base, so I just had it on the perch. And actually, he's a very heavy figure, as most people know. He's a pewter figure, so I had to drill him in here at the feet and pin him to the base and then putty that up. He's been heavily weighted here on the base, if you can see that, with a lot of lead weights. And actually beneath these trees, there's more lead weights that are hiding. These were just, what do you call it, hot glued on. There's some narrative within the base here with the dead Eldar figure. Again, these were just hot glued on too, so they're pretty sturdy. The figure himself is just achieved through a bunch of different washes, some highlights, some dry brush, and then a lot of blocking in colors. It's hard to see here, but if you look really closely at the carapace, you can see the small line detail, and that's just part of that color scheme. It's just sort of a black to a purple, and then a very, very thin trail of Codex gray lines. The wings themselves are from a McFarlane Dragon, which I like to use quite a bit. I think they add a lot of grandiose to the figure. And with these wings have so much carapace on them anyway, that it really just, I think, it helped incorporate the whole figure's theme. Let's see. The limbs are in fact magnetized. If you can look real closely, these actually come off. And then there's some alternatives. He wanted to be able to do 2 sets of scything talons or lash whip bone sword scything talons. So nice and simple there. So that's about it. I do a lot more converting than painting. So when I do a painting figure, I like to showcase it a little bit. And that's about it. I'll try to get more vids as I can, guys. Thanks. Projects we're working on. There's a client out in the UK who requested some spore pods, but he wanted them a little bit different. One thing he wanted was he wanted them in different positions, so he wanted them sort of on their sides, some up, some down. So I decided on 3 positions, 145, 190, and one somewhere in between there. So there's some that are actually kind of laying on their sides, some that are sort of upright. He also wanted these sort of gray tendrils coming out of the bottoms. It's actually a little hard to see this one. You can see a little bit better. Coming out of the bottoms and sort of spread out across the base. He also wanted them to sort of look like they had created a track in the earth or like dug a groove. So I used this, what do you call it, spackling effect to sort of give them these grooves. You can actually see the brush strokes a little bit if you look closely, so it actually look like it's carved a path in the earth. And then on the sides of these, on a couple of them, we put these Ravener torsos to represent the bioweapons. You can either have a, there's a couple different guns, so we use those to represent that. These ones are actually just based with sand and grit and just a custom blend that I use or I create. The other ones will actually get some dirt and stuff too, but just not yet. Let's see what else we got. These are going out for a client today. He requested a Turvagon and a Doom of Malekith, so this is his custom Turvagon. As you can see on the back, it's just got the egg sac that I use for a lot of times. It's a little bulkier. I modified it with a couple extra eggs. And then siding talons, gave him some Trigon bits on the front. He's mounted on a 90 by 120 millimeter base, so he's on the correct base for a creature with 6 wounds, really. And then the Doom of Malekith, this is a conversion using some Tyranid bits, some alien bits. He's mounted on a 40 mil with one of these conical cones, which I like to sort of give an alien feel to the base. This actually is an alien brain from a small miniature provider. I can't think of his name, that I just modified up quite a bit. Okay, that's everything in here. Let's see what's going on in the main studio. A little dark, a little hard to see. This is a dragon, a McFarlane dragon that I refurbed, and he's up on eBay right now. These are some, I'm calling them poor man's Trigons. They're a combination of a couple different things. Some Kenner aliens and some water dragons and some other bits. Although they're really hodgepodge right now. Once they're primed, you won't be able to tell. And I've got a whole bunch of siding talons I'm about to put on them. Once those go on, these guys will look pretty good. They're going to go for about 25 bucks, or about half of what a Trigon goes for. So for those Apocalypse games where you want like 5 or 6 Trigons running around the board, you don't want to spend a couple $100, this is going to be a good alternative. This is for a client today. He wanted a alien queen that is a Tyranid alien queen. It's not a competitive piece. It's not for tournaments. It's just for friendly games, so we're using a lot of non-GW bits on it. He's mounted to a very large base, probably 150 millimeters long. And then that's the McFarlane resin piece on the base there, those egg sacs. As you can see here, I've actually used a Trigon body for most of it. And I've mounted a McFarlane alien queen to it. So when it's done, it's going to be about 50-50. It's kind of hard to see right now, but here's the start of it. So it's going to be pretty massive. These legs are actually from a McFarlane alien queen. And then I'm going to use other random bits like an alien tail and some other arms, some siding talons. So it's going to be kind of a mix. It'll look like it's sort of striding across this patch of eggs. It'll look, I think, pretty sharp. These are some bits for a, what do you call it, a Turvagon, and it's Tyranids I'm doing for a client. He requested this sort of modifier for the Tyranids. Basically, it's just a couple of torsos and tails sort of put together. It's a little expensive if you're doing it on your own, but for a converter, it's not that bad. And that will eventually be a Tyranids when I'm done with it. The Turvagon is still underway, as you can see. Over here, these are some random bits I'm going to put together for a Doom of Malekith conversion. I had this extra head left over. And right now I'm kind of doing a build-your-own Doom on eBay, where you can just sort of buy your own bits and do it yourself. Ooh, I'm sorry, you guys are probably getting sick from that. Try to leave that alone. And here's a massive tail I'm going to use for it, sort of a segmented tail that I actually have left over because of the Alien Queen project up here. The tail's too big for this piece, so I'm going to use a smaller tail. So this tail is actually going to work for a Doom. And let's see what else. A couple small projects. The guy who did the Spore Pods also wanted what do you call it? A Parasite of Mortrex and a Prime. So this is the Prime right here. As you can see, he's just basically a bulkier Tyranid warrior. We gave him a whole bunch of spikes, just jutting out everywhere. We gave him the bulkier Ravener talons, toxin sacks, and these bone swords are actually a combination of bits, some old warrior bits and some newer Kenner alien bits from a toy from the 90s. He's been based up, and he's got the old alien legs, or Tyranid warrior legs, which I actually like pretty well. This is the Parasite. You've seen this one from me quite a few times. No real differences here other than he wanted some more spikes, so we took off the traditional back spine, used these spikes from the Trigon kit, and then some additional spikes for the headpiece.